We'll go ahead and get started here. I will be your moderator, Leilani Evans. I am the Business Development Manager here at TAG, and I'll go ahead and just give a quick introduction to our presenter today, who is Darren Pierce. He presents today with over 20 years of experience with the Sage Timberline software platform, specifically excelling in Sage estimating. He's got a wealth of knowledge, a great understanding of the construction industries and our clients' needs and desires in the estimating technology world. Providing sales technology support at Sage North America for the construction and real estate division. Darren was also a business owner in his previous life in the landscape industry for over 10 years. So he really thoroughly understands the needs of business owners and estimators. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Darren. Go ahead and kick it off, and I will start switching over to your computer screen in a minute here.
All right. Well, Leilani, thanks a lot for that. And thank you all for joining in today's presentation. And by the way, as a landscape construction guy in the Northwest up in Portland here, I gave it up after about 12 years because if you know the Northwest, it rains all the time, and I got tired of working in the rain. So with that being said, though, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jumping into the estimating solution, but not really going through the estimating application, but what happens downstream from the estimating solution, and how can the back office benefit from what the pre-construction, the estimators are doing and creating within the estimating application. As you can see, we have many different ways that we can look at the information, either individually or we have shared layouts as well. So if you have a fairly large department within your organization, you want to be able to share a layout, you most definitely can do that as well. Well, let's jump back into this presentation mode right here. The other thing is for an estimator to be able to break out the details in a manner that makes sense to the project. So in this case right here, what we're looking at is Collapsol, 16 division. If you're on the 48 division, good for you. We're slowly creeping, glacially creeping to everyone using the 48 divisional breakout. And I mean really slowly, actually. But when we look at that, maybe we want to see it in a different manner. Maybe we want to break it out by phase of project or by building, or could be floor, system, you name it. You can break it out and flip that switch, flip that to that breakout in a manner that makes sense to you. Now, what's wonderful about this downstream is we can report on it in the same exact manner to whatever detail you want to go to. But let's go ahead and jump back over here to phase item, because for the presentation today, what we want to do is we want to see it in a manner that makes sense to the back office, right? So we've been awarded this job. We're ready to move forward. Now what we have is the detail, the information of breaking that out for the cost code structure that we have, right? So we want to have this information flow into the system. So the thing that I always like to bring up and like you to think about is how much time does it take us to grab that information from the estimator and then input that into the system? Is it hours, 2 hours? Well, I got to 30 words per minute. That's the best I could do in typing. So when you look at that, it is multiple hours for me to enter this type of stuff. And if you look at that over 50 jobs, 100 jobs over a year, how many hours are we saving? So kind of an ROI look at that right there. Just to dig in a little bit deeper, just so you can see this, is we have the job cost tab. This is an item right here, and we can see that job cost code structure right there available for us. I will let you know, in getting this set up, we do have a database editor that can help us do that very quickly. Here's our cost code structure, and again, as you'd expect, I can see the full list right here within the estimating. Again, we have the database editor, so I don't have to one by one. Some databases can be 10,000, 20,000 items long, day, night. That'd be your job putting those in there. We make it very quick for you with the database editor. But we'll click on the job cost, and we'll say, okay, again, it's going to go through a wizard. Same basic steps. same allocation, round those accumulated item quantities, but there is one difference. And when we look at the Sage 300 product, there's a capability within the solution within job cost that allows us, we've got, of course, the original contract, but then we have what we call extras. And extras is a job within a job, if you want to define it that way. And basically, customer comes to me and says, hey, I'd like to do an addition onto the original contract, and it's more than just changing a light fixture or something like that. It's basically building a pool or something to that effect. And I want to track the profitability and the costs associated with that separately. Well, that's what extras give you, is that capability to track it separately, but then roll it up into the main contract. So it gives you that opportunity to do so, go through the next steps. And by the way, for the Sage 100, Sage 300, same way, we can create a file so we can see what information is flowing into the accounting system. For this one, I am going to generate this just so you can see it real quickly. And this is the same thing with the Sage 100. Gives me a last-ditch effort to say, no, hey, I don't want to do that yet. But look at all of this information, this detail we're able to get away from entering manually. It's just going through, rolling through that, says okay. Now I can jump over into job cost and jump into my inquiries. And for those of you in the Sage 300 world, you're probably used to seeing inquiries because it's a drill down functionality that we can go drill down into the details and see that information. So again, a lot of typing, a lot of entering of information. Now with that, of course, we're going to drill down into labor, and the note's a little bit different than the Sage 100, but there's still a note there. It says exported estimating estimates. That is an interesting note for a description there, but we'll go with it. So again, back to the point, what does it cost us to, or what's the time does it take us to enter that information to the detail that we need it? So now let's change gears again. We've looked at what the estimating brings to the table as far as downstream. We can do for Sage 100, we look at the proposal, the budget, the change order. Well, for the Sage 300, we look at the budget, the estimate. We'll look at change requests in a minute, but changing gears a little bit, we have a new solution that's just come out just recently, and it's called Buyout, and it does exactly what you would think it would do. It buys out the job, gives you the capability to send out requests for quotes to your suppliers, your subcontractors, your vendors, so on and so forth. We won't get into the details of this. We're going to be doing a full presentation of this product at the end of this month. And we'll dig into the details. But for the purposes of today's presentation is looking at the integration point that we get from it. But I will give you at least a high-level walkthrough. So when you're looking at this, we import a job and we determine the types, the category types of information that we want to buy out. So if your labor pool, you're self-performing, your labor pool has been exhausted, I don't mean tired, you just don't have any available labor, then we might want to send that out to the street, see what we can do there. Or you may do that anyway within your normal process. Can the subcontractor do it cheaper than our self-performed labor? So may happen. Well, in this point, we'll just say material and subcontract. As that flows into the system here, now we see all of those particular details, those items that we have. And what's interesting, if you can catch I know we're a screen on a screen here, I believe is how we're doing this. So when we look at this, we've got yellowing right here, and then we have white. That means it's automatically been grouped in a manner that makes sense to our process. But we want to maybe buy out the job in a different way. As I mentioned, building, we might buy it out in building, or we might want to buy it out in unit format. However you buy out your jobs, because really, to tell you the truth, is more a phased approach, right? Downstream from the estimate, we got a big project. We don't want a lot of materials laying out on site, getting stolen, broken, so on and so forth. Now, when I go back to group phase, I may want to just see labor, or I didn't put any labor, right? Or material. Now I want to drill down even further where I have woods and plastics. And let's just do a quick little thing here where we call it framing. And all I'm doing is grouping these items together. I'll copy this and I'll paste it, just to get a feel for what we do next. Now you're seeing my framing as a quote. I don't have any vendors. All I do is right-click and include vendors and have them start vying for the opportunity to work with me or get their pricing, right? Suppliers. In this case, this automatically happened. And I, of course, put some dates in here. We track the dates and the high-level variances of what we're looking with the base number here. And then as we draw down further, we look at the details that break those up as well. Well, in this case, I'm going to very quickly just select this contractor and go to commitment. Now, when we look at the commitment here, we'll put in a commitment number. We'll say 903, and we'll say, go ahead and create the commitments. So, the thing when I look at the commitment there and I put in the number, we can have the system automatically, of course, count those commitments for us. So here's what we've sent over into the accounting system. Pretty much, boom, it just wrote directly to it. So now if we jump over into the 300 real quick, what we will look at is the commitments within the system. Actually, I need to go to task to do that. And I sent this one over earlier today, so we can take a look at that as well. So there it is. We've got that capability to get away from enter. It's going to automatically enter him. And of course, depending upon your process, you hit the final compliance approval. It's over in AP, ready for you to take that invoice against from the subcontractor, supplier, whoever that may be, right? So again, saving a tremendous amount of time, but that integration is going to offer you the capability to do more in a day and or maybe take a lunch, right? So with that being said, one last thing we're going to take a look at, and it looks at project management. So as a project manager, now that the job's been approved, now we're managing the project, of course, what happens? Well, construction is synonymous with change. I mean, probably hardly ever a job out there that doesn't have at least one change order, one change request, et cetera, et cetera. So when you look at this, we can get in here and we can drill down into this grouping, and I'll open up a change request. And this is where we're taking advantage of the estimating system again. And you have to have the estimating to show this one tab that we're going to take a look at right here. Now what we can do is we can take advantage of our historical pricing stored in our database and price out this particular change request. Now for the quick ones, one-offs, it's not that big of a deal, but when we get some of those larger change requests, we definitely want to have an estimating system that we can do it very quickly and then have it flow into the change request here. So it's going to go out, look for that, and I've got one that's sitting out here. Again, round, accumulated, allocate add-ons, so on and so forth. Because really, when we look at this change request, we might want to map it to that extra where we had that swimming pool or that addition, whatever it may be. In this case, I'll just say, okay. Now it's going to go ahead and process that for me. And again, entering that detail in there and that information for me. So making it very quick. So you're seeing a lot of integration points with the estimating system that you can take advantage of. And that doesn't even get into the power of what our estimating solution can do for you with a digital takeoff, integration with Navisworks, if you're in the BIM world already. So there's lots to discuss there and show off the power of what that solution. But that's not the point of this presentation. We just wanted to hit the integration points. So with that being said, Leilani, I think I'll go ahead and toss it back to you for any questions and finishing comments.
Again, as Darren mentioned, if you would like a more tailored presentation of either estimating, perhaps the accounting systems, or digital takeoff, like you mentioned, any of those things, I'd be happy to facilitate a meeting to review those a little bit more in detail. Again, thank you. We hope to see you guys next week. Thanks, Darren.